Hi, I'm Daniel from Ratings.com. We get a lot of questions from viewers who want to learn more about burn-in on OLED TVs, so we've been running 2 tests across 9 TVs for over a year now. For most people, the results so far are good news, as we don't expect people who watch varied content to have any issues with burn-in. We'll start by talking about the setup and conditions of our latest burn-in test on 6 TVs, and then go over the results so far. We'll then talk about our first burn-in test on 3 TVs. We'll finish off by addressing some of the questions we've received on these 2 tests. We'll start by talking about our second test. The goal of this test was to determine how content and brightness affects the risk of burn-in. For this test, the TVs are on for 20 hours per day, but only in 5-hour blocks at a time to better represent typical usage. We also wanted to match the content to suit what people watch, but we'll go over this later in the video when we get to the results. The TVs are controlled with a microcontroller. This sends an infrared signal, just like for a remote control, so the TVs remain powered while they're off. All of the burn-in prevention features are activated, and we run the manual pixel refresh function before taking uniformity photos, and the screen shift option is enabled. Unlike the C8, earlier OLED models don't expose controls to the logo luminance detection feature, but it is active even though it isn't visible in the settings. This second burn-in test on 6 OLED C7s has been running now for about a year. Looking at the plot of the full screen brightness and the brightness of a small window, which takes up 2% of the screen area, we can see that there has been no appreciable change in brightness. The brightness of small windows does vary from month to month, but there has been no identifiable trend. If we look at the color gamut of each display measured in the center of the screen, there is also very little variation over time, which is great. We'll now look at the latest uniformity photos of each TV. The TV displaying recorded sports content shows no signs of issues, despite 6,000 hours of usage, which is great, as we expected the static scoreboards to be risky. This content is from multiple channels, so although there are many static elements during a game, they do change depending on the network. The TV showing recorded footage from Call of Duty also doesn't have any noticeable uniformity issues over the same time. We originally thought this might experience issues due to the in-game heads-up display, but this is a great result, and maybe because it doesn't use saturated colors. The TV displaying recorded content from the game FIFA 18 shows some uniformity issues near the corners of the display, which corresponds to the location of the static in-game scoreboard. This has been developing over time and became noticeable after about 800 hours of usage, but still isn't visible in normal content. We expected this to happen because FIFA shows quite a lot of bright and static content. On the TV displaying a live NBC cable feed, the Today Show logo has started to become faintly visible near the lower right-hand corner, but this is only visible in test patterns after about 4,000 hours of usage. This is strange, as we didn't expect it to cause issues, as the logo isn't present often, but it is quite saturated. This isn't visible in normal content though, so it isn't a problem. This is the TV which has been playing a live CNN feed at maximum brightness. We expected this to burn in due to the large bright static areas, and the CNN logo has been permanently burnt into the TV, as well as the breaking news banner. These areas are darker than the surrounds, as the light output of these subpixels has been permanently degraded, and these darkened edges began at about 2,500 hours of usage. Another interesting result is that the center of the screen shows an outline that appears to resemble a person. This also seems to be permanent degradation and has been appearing in the last 1,000 hours or so. We're surprised that this is present because the center of the screen doesn't have any static banners. It may be a cumulative effect from the skin tones or clothing of reporters, but we don't know. If you've got any ideas, then let us know down below. If we look at the live CNN TV that's at a lower brightness of 200 nits, we can see that the degradation has appeared later and is at a lower intensity. After about 3,500 hours of usage, the uniformity corresponds closely to the maximum brightness CNN TV at about 2,500 hours of usage. This appears to support the hypothesis that brighter content will increase the rate of burn-in, and is what we expected. Now for the first test. The goal of this test wasn't to represent a real-world use case, but instead to identify if burn-in can happen and how long it takes for the overall screen brightness to drop. We bought 2 LCD TVs with different panel types and an OLED TV, and have been running them for 20 hours continuously each day, which doesn't correspond to anyone's normal usage. The test video also includes large static areas with saturated colors in each corner, which is much more extreme than normal static content, such as network logos or sports scoreboards. Like the other test, all burn-in prevention features are active, and the schedule is controlled with a microcontroller. We'll now go on to the test results. Despite 9,000 hours of usage, the OLED in this test has yet to experience any brightness loss or change in color gamut at the center of the screen. Also, letterbox bars are present in our test pattern for about 36% of the time. Despite permanent burn-in in each of our logos, we can't identify any uniformity issues as a result of these letterbox bars. This is great for those who play older 4:3 content or watch lots of movies with letterboxing. Another interesting outcome is that one of the LCD TVs appears to have failing LEDs. The brightness of the UJ6300 has been degrading for a few months now, starting from about 5,000 hours of usage. It has now dropped to about half of the original level, and blue spots have appeared across the screen. We don't know why this is, as it seems to be a premature failure based on the expected lifetime of an LED. In this state, it is unwatchable. We don't know if this is due to the extreme use, but let us know what you think in the comments below. This may also indicate that there is a luck component that in some cases may be more significant than the theoretical lifespan. If you're unlucky, then you may experience an early failure, even for an LED TV. We will continue to run this test because although burn-in has occurred, we want to see how the brightness and color gamut in the center of these TVs changes over time. We'll now address some of the most popular questions we've received. If you have any more questions, then please do let us know down below. We've received many questions from people who are concerned about subtitles on OLED TVs. We've also received a message including photos from a reader who experienced burn-in on their OLED TV after displaying subtitles for a long time. These photos show the uniformity after 7,100 hours and may be a consideration for those who use subtitles due to their high brightness and relatively static place on the screen. If you only use subtitles from time to time, then we don't expect you to have any issues though. We've also received questions whether the ABL or automatic brightness limiter of the TV affects the test. This does cause large bright areas to have a lower brightness than small highlights, but still causes an increase in the OLED light setting to increase the overall image brightness. As a result, the maximum OLED light CNN TV does have brighter static areas than the 200 nit CNN TV. We've been asked many times why we don't include another TV in this test, which cycles between different types of content to better reflect real use. This would be a great thing to do, but we've got limited resources. In this case, we expect that due to the cumulative nature of burn-in, the results can be approximated by combining the effect of each usage. Another question we frequently receive is whether newer models have improved burn-in performance. We haven't tested these newer models with the same long-term test, so it is hard for us to know. It is likely that they're a bit better though, as the problematic red subpixel has increased in size. Overall, our current stance is that if you vary your content and don't display static areas, then you're unlikely to experience any issues. If you do plan to watch a lot of static content with bright saturated colors, then an OLED TV probably isn't for you. So that's it. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. To learn more about the test methodology and some of our interesting results we've found so far, check out our previous videos in the series, which are linked below. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel or become a contributor. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.